Yeah, I started this morning by showing you guys my wall of horror. All the things I have yet to do. Good morning and welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. Happy Monday to you. I'm Loren Michaels Harris. And, wow, got my good girl with me, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. And still on the salted caramel coffee. Why am I here early today? Because I need this extra time to wake up. I'm not kidding you. Oh my goodness, what a weekend. It was absolutely fantastic. We went out to, well, mostly sunny California. But when we got there Thursday, it was raining. And then things kind of cleared up for the rest of the weekend. But that isn't even, we weren't there for the weather. Not the weather outside, anyway. We were there for the weather inside at the Lifestyle Hackers event hosted by Abby Levine and Dan Mendelow. Wow, what a fantastic weekend. The speakers, Tracy Hazard, Libby Crow, Adam Imob Flores, Darren from Infusionsoft. It was just fantastic, not to mention, but to mention, Abby Levine and Dan Mendelow. They really shared some golden nuggets with everyone there. Alan Childs, good morning to you. I'm telling about my weekend while I build the audience because I came on a little early for that purpose. We also just had a great time. A few of my coaching clients flew in, and it was so great to see them as well. I saw Jose Zavala, Daryl Stern, Michael Kyra, Scott Kiesling and his lovely wife, and it was just a great time. Brian was with us. And if you don't get out to these events, you really should try to. The things that people bring to the table is just incredible, absolutely incredible. But anyway, and maybe you caught my live Friday from LA with the wonderful Melissa Hall of E360 TV and the show, The Ripple Effect. What a great interview that was, if I say so myself. I had such a great time with Miss Melissa Lynn Cristiano. Good morning to you. D-Ball. Yeah, I started a little early today because I needed some time to wake up. You know how you have to back up sometimes and get a running start into something? That's exactly what happened here this morning. So, how was your weekend, and what did you do? Hopefully, you had some wonderful times with friends and family. Got to lay back in the cut for a minute. I wonder why these, I'm moving those. Yeah, there. All those things people were saying, all your names and stuff were covering my face up. Not that I need to look at me, Lord knows. Woo. But I want to be able to look into the camera. But wait a minute, I better move those back because how will I know when our guest arrives? Today, wow, get ready. I'm just letting you know now, if you have something you need to do in the next 20 or 30 minutes, you need to move it because you are going to get wrapped up with this guest that I have this morning, and trust me, you're going to get stuck. He's that good. I'm speaking, of course, of my good friend, a coachee, but really just, I look at this kid like a son. Brian and I both do. He's just so special, so very special, that it is an honor to get him on here. I just wish I would have had time to get the promotions out there early enough. I posted this morning, but because of the traveling this weekend, I wasn't able to do that. But nonetheless, for even one person who's here to catch this kid's story, it's going to be a good thing. Reed Barrett, good morning to you. John Whitewood Monmouth, hello. Cousin Cretus all the way from St. Louis. How are you? I'm speaking, of course, of Tucker Bearden. Tucker, I'm tempted sometimes to say Tucker found me or Tucker came to me or I found Tucker. It wasn't like that. The universe found us both and put us together. And the things I have watched happen in this young man's life in the short year and some months that I've known him are nothing short of incredible. His story is unlike any I've ever heard. His message is more powerful than any I've ever heard. And I'm just so proud and I'm so honored to have him in my life and be able to work with him, stand beside him as he grows his message for the masses. He changes lives everywhere he goes. And hopefully today he can do something to change yours for a little bit better as well. Destiny Riri Poole, good morning to you. Rich NJ, nice to hear from you this morning. Melody Ann Whitley, who is going to be a guest on Wednesday, so make sure you come back. Oh, speaking of, I am looking for someone or someone's. Is that a word? I'm looking for two people. I need someone for this Thursday, the 29th, and also this Friday, the 30th. So if you or someone you know feels that they have a story that they'd like to share with the world, they can start right here on Bathrobe Moments. Just have them PM me, and we'll get you set up and get you on here so people can hear what it is you're trying to talk about, right? So hopefully Tucker will be showing up here in just a moment. I can't see what time it is. Let me hit the laptop. I'm still discombobulated. Oh, there he is. Let me send the elevator down and pick Tucker up. Way up, y'all. So anyway, hold on. Oh, here he is. Ah! You know, Tucker just went. Should I bust you out and tell people you just went and got that robe? That's a nice robe.
Thank you.
Tucker, when I said go out and get a robe, I didn't mean, sell your car to get one. Good Lord. That looks so
Hey, you got it.
It looks
You got to be the
luxurious.
best, bud.
That is nice.
Hey, buddy. Hey, best of the best. Got to have the best, brother.
And here's what y'all don't know. Tucker is in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Right, so we probably had to fly somewhere to get that because I know they didn't have that at the Feed and Seed. So where'd you get your robe, Tucker?
What is the name of that store? Walmart.
Okay. Okay, well, we know. So great. I know you don't drink coffee, so I let you off the hook about a mug, but you got something good there. And you have water is part of your story.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What'd you almost
I'm
say?
all about.
Oh, you almost called me, man. Okay, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna catch you. I heard what you almost called me.
I've been talking to Addie, and I get to talking to her, and then I switch over to talk to somebody else. It just comes out.
Yeah, and Addie is Tucker's a good friend and roommate. They both work in the horse business. Nick Harris, good morning to you. And so anyway, Tucker, I was telling everybody how I feel about you and your story, and I'm glad to see the audience is building because I wouldn't want anyone to miss one moment of what we're going to cover here today. But why don't we start? Why don't you tell people a little bit about that special thing in your heart and why you feel what you do today is even more special than just speaking, because you were told once upon a time your family was told by powerful doctors and some of the smartest medical minds in the country that this boy named Tucker will probably never even be able to leave the house. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir. I tell everybody, like I said it in Vegas, and to be honest, I think I'll say it on every stage that I ever stand on. I am a practitioner of change. Simply standing as a that is that I was diagnosed with Asperger's at a young age. It's a neurological abnormality that hinders your ability to understand social cues as well as emotional responses. To better describe it, it would be like my ability to socialize or learning to socialize would be like taking someone who speaks English and no other language, dropping in them in China with no translator and telling them to learn the language. That's what it was like learning to socialize. And I found that throughout my life, the attempts at making friends and even relationships and things of that nature were they their challenges became astronomical when they're just simple. It's not hard to go up and shake someone's hand, but what if shaking someone's hand puts you in the hospital? That's a whole nother situation. It's a
Explain
whole
that.
nother equation.
What did you mean by that? So people know when you say put you in the hospital, how would it do that for you?
Okay. Well, one of the things with Asperger's is it causes chemical imbalances, which in turn cause extreme social anxiety. So going into public, I know that everybody has been standing somewhere and you felt somebody looking at you, and then you turned around and suddenly someone was looking at you. Okay, well, imagine that exact same feeling but your body is reacting in such that every person in the area is not only looking at you, but they're judging you and talking about you and just bombarding you with negative energy, even though this is not the case.
That's what you
It's
feel.
simply yes, it is what you feel. It is a construct of your current reality. It is not what reality really is. It is simply a perception in the moment. That's why I say that anybody can overcome anxiety. Anybody can overcome these social issues. And people, like I've actually had people, man, I haven't even told you about this. People have come to me and said, "Hey, you can't go telling people that they can overcome anxiety just by or by thinking about it or practicing something. Not everybody can do that. Some people have to have medicine. Some people have to have a shrink or something. I mean, these people are coming to me and in anger and saying you can't get up there and say that someone with a mental disorder can overcome anxiety. It doesn't work that way. Anxiety, at its core, is no more than a false perception of your current reality. Anxiety comes from within, just as happiness comes from within.
Uh-oh.
Like you hear people all the time. They say, "Well, I love going to the river because the water is so peaceful." Water is not peaceful. Water doesn't know peace. Peace comes from within.
Okay.
When you're going out there and people are experiencing anxiety, experiencing it like I did, where I went to Walmart trying to just wanting so bad to interact with people. I didn't want to be that guy that hid in his room or the kid that was in the lunchroom and sat at my own table at the corner every single day at lunch because no one wanted to sit with that guy, that weird kid, because he didn't want to be around anyone, or that guy that sat on the playground at the exact same spot every single day and played with the same set of rocks and dirt every single day on the playground throughout elementary school, and this same exact thing happened in middle school and high school. I didn't want that. I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to connect with other human beings. So I started to go to places like Walmart, the mall, what are the movie theaters, things that take me out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, when you have Asperger's, you have something called hypersensitivity to everything. Your hearing, your smell, your taste, the texture of things on your skin. Like for instance, this robe. It is the only acceptable texture that I even use for blankets. Like I don't I can't use wool and things of that nature because it will send me into a panic attack.
Mm.
The te- the texture in itself. And when you have a panic attack, you over oxygenate the brain,
Oh,
which which means that you can literally shut your brain down and your brain will no longer run the functions that are required for you to stay alive. I've had a
let
heart attack and died.
right. And let me just jump in here for people, anybody who, because I had heard about panic attacks, and it was like one of those things when you hear somebody say, "Oh, I had a panic attack," or "Little Johnny had a panic attack." I used to think that that was just, a little thing till I had one. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
I thought I was at death's door. I'm telling you, I was foaming at the mouth. They had to rush me to the emergency room. My hands went numb. I couldn't even dial 911. The woman was screaming from the floor of the car, "Are you there? Are you there?" And I was blanking in and out, and I swore up and down I was about to die. And I mean, it was, oof, oof. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So don't underestimate when somebody says panic attack that you think you know what it means, unless you've experienced it. And to be one of those people like Tucker, who the smallest little things, which really aren't small, but the slightest thing would probably be a better way of putting it, would send him into that. I can't even imagine, Tucker. I'm serious. I remember that day I went to that emergency room and they gave me an IV of something and told me that people come in all day, every day, having experienced panic attacks and don't know what they are and think they're dying. And then here I was walking out 10 minutes later feeling like the biggest fool. Because I mean it. I was like, I'm leaving. Oh, Lord Jesus, Mom, I'm on my way. I mean it. I really thought I was dying. It's that serious.
It is.
So, Tucker, tell me this. What did people around you, family members, friends, people that cared about you and didn't want to see you going through these panic attacks that would sometimes land you in the ICU, when you started your own self-realization, your own self, whatever all those things you found and put in place to bring you out of that locked-in world of being that kid in the room or that kid at the end of the table or all alone, did people try to convince you that you were doing the wrong thing?
Yes.
How did you
I
feel?
was told that medication is the answer. That there's something that's not right in your brain. So in order to be normal, you have to take this pill. Well, what's in that pill? Well, I don't know, but the guy wearing the white coat said that you should take it. And I'm like, okay. So when I was a kid, they had me doped up on all these different drugs. Now, I don't know how much you know about medication, but I know somebody that's in the comments, somebody watching is going to recognize these two names. They had me on massive doses of Seroquel and Adderall at the same time. Now, if that tells you anything whatsoever about, if you know anything about medication, you'll know that is insane, especially to give to a child. And then when I got older, and like you said, I began this self-help journey, began realizing that if you don't break free from this, it will become your tomb. I mean, if you don't, you can't, like, people were telling me, I literally, like, I know it sounds cheesy to say that I shared what I was trying to do, and people were like, oh, you can't do that for this reason, that reason, and that reason. But that's really what happened. I mean, I did. Because I was watching TEDx videos, and I noticed a few things, a few patterns in these TEDx videos, and that are that the greatest speakers, the people with the most impactful message, all have generally the same idea in mind, and that is a mindset of gratitude and service to others. So I was thinking, well, I mean, all these people that talk about coming from nothing and overcoming these huge obstacles, their key was simply being good to others. So I was like, okay, well, obviously, if it worked for them, it's got to work somehow. So let's practice this. And I started going out. I think I was making $157 a week. I'm not 100% sure exactly the number, but I'm pretty sure it was. I was working 7 days a week, 365 days a year, working in the morning and in the afternoon, and getting a few hour break in between. And started taking $50 out of that paycheck every week. And I'd go to what is it? Yeah, Little Caesars, I think is what it's called. They got $5 hot and ready pizzas. And I was in Louisville, Kentucky, which if you've ever been there, you know is slap full of homeless people. So I had a little bicycle with a chain that popped off every 4 or 5 cranks.
Oh, Lord.
And I got these as many pizzas as I could hold and traveled around the town, Louisville, Kentucky, and sat down with homeless people. And I was like, hey man, here's this, and all I ask in return is tell me your story.
Mm.
Uh, like, let me know something, man. You got some wisdom, I know you do.
Yeah.
Hear it,
Mm-hmm.
and the seeing the joy on their face that somebody out of nowhere said, I care about what you have to say. There was a spark that lit, and you can feel it. It resonates within not only them but yourself. You can feel it in your soul, and that's when you stop living out of here
Mm-hmm.
and start living out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changes, because if you live out of here, you have no control. If you live out of here, you can't lose control. And I found that sitting with these homeless folk and talking to them and hearing their story not only was giving me a deeper connection to people, I was learning how to socialize without the anxiety and the stress of judgment.
Mm.
Because because when I went to Walmart and I went to other places, I've had acne my whole life. Like bad. You can't tell right now, but my body is riddled in it. It's painful, but here's the thing. My face used to be so bad that I would cry in public because I just knew the foul things people were thinking when
Mm.
even though I was wrong, they may not have been thinking those things. In my mind, I was creating this false reality that they were all judging. And I used to have hair down to here to hide my face, and it was simply because of my own perception in the moment. And that was the key. I think that was the key to overcoming it was simply sitting down with folks and saying, "Hey, what's your story, man?"
Wow.
Like,
You know what, Tucker, you know, as much as we've worked together, for those of you who don't know, Tucker is a coaching client of mine. We've been together over a year now, and you just never fail to just send me to that same place that you sent me the moment I met you. And I'm just going to stop right here and say to everybody, you know, this, Tucker, like I didn't know this thing about the pizzas, and stuff just comes out of Tucker's mouth that just makes you go, it makes so much sense the moment you hear it. And there is such a ring of truth to it that you cannot help but know that this person before you is truly anointed. And Tucker, you know, what I've seen you do in such a short period of time is nothing short of incredible. And what I love most about your story is that you speak to people, you speak to all of us, but your voice really cuts down to the nth degree, to that lowest denominator of that person who thinks they're watching right now, but there's no way you could be speaking to them. I know for a fact that they're leaning in a little closer and their heart is just a little bit more open, because the way you share your message, it covers the spectrum. It covers the spectrum, and I think that is a true gift of God. And so I want you to, if you're okay with it, tell people about, well, I remember one of the defining moments when we were getting to know each other, I think it was in our coaching assessment. You had made, I tell this story all the time to new coachees about how, what was our first assignment. And you said something inside your assignment where you said, if I had a quarter for every time, for every job or every opportunity or something like that, that Asperger's cost me. And then I asked you what that meant and how many jobs, and it was in the 20s. And then you told me about that one, that day at Piggly Wiggly, and how that was really like your, what many of us refer to as your rock bottom. If you're okay with it, tell everybody about that day at Piggly Wiggly and what happened.
well, there was a compilation of things that caused what happened at Piggly Wiggly that day. Um, the I was a bag boy, and I stocked shelves and things of that nature for Piggly Wiggly because like I found a small sense of joy in being able to place a can of beans on the shelf in such a perfect fashion that I know someone that walks by is going to, they could possibly notice it. It just like I don't know, having being able to serve in such a beautiful way as simply turning a can to make it the right direction. It brought me a sense of joy. But the biggest sense of joy was the fact that while I was working, I was bringing something to the table for not only my family, but my friends. I had the capability to actually buy something to eat for somebody when they wanted to, and not be the person that has to put my head down when somebody talks about how they're hungry and they don't have anything to eat. And that brought me more joy than anything you could imagine. And one day I was bagging groceries and the customers began flooding into the store out of nowhere. It was like a lunch hour rush or something. I don't never seen it this many people come in at once, and I could hear all the bags crumpling individually. I could hear all the feet falling on the ground. The clock that was on the wall started ticking really loud, just go, 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 go. It was like everything began to echo in itself, and just it was like all the noise and sounds bombarded me at one time. And I mean, I collapsed. I felt an elephant on my chest, and I went into what was the beginning stages of a life-threatening panic attack. Not there's difference in a panic attack and a life-threatening panic attack.
Right.
And what you had was life-threatening. That was the type of panic attack I was experiencing in that moment.
Oof.
And the woman I was bagging groceries for had the audacity to step back and say, "Why would you have a retard working for you? What's wrong with you people?" And she left. And I mean, that's the only thing I heard out of at least 100 people that were there. Those were the only spoken words that came through my ears.
Mm.
Out of all those people that were freaking out and just like trying to figure out what's going on and are you okay and la la la, all this, I didn't hear them.
Mm.
I heard her.
Mm.
And when she left, I went. They put cold water on me and things of that nature, and eventually I came back to fruition, or I came back and I was trying to just gain myself back. I'm sitting in the back room on a container of food, and she comes back there with a write-up slip.
The
And this
man,
woman was not.
the manager.
Yeah, the manager. The manager came back there with a write-up slip. This woman was not a nice person to begin with. In fact, quite foul. But regardless, she come back there with a write-up slip stating that I was disruptive and incapable of working around others, which was also followed by my final check. She fired me and said, and just basically told me that you can't work in public. You can't work around people. You're a retard. I mean, retards don't work in public.
Oh.
And and one of my relatives is the manager there now, and if I told them, they wouldn't even believe me because this. I mean, but that's besides the point. Anyway, like, and I walked home because I walked to and fro to work. Like I didn't have a vehicle at the time, didn't even have a bicycle. So I'm walking home, and I remember the defining moment where I made the choice that there was no more point. And that was, I was walking, and I walked over the exact same bridge that I ended up being homeless and living under years after that. I walked over that bridge, and as I did, I remember hearing the water, just the sound of the creek. And I've always been drawn to water. Always. I was raised on the water. I come from the holler of the Arkansas River. And in that moment, a clarity came over me. It wasn't fear. It wasn't anxiety. It was a truth, a simple understanding. And that was that this was it. You're not from this world. You don't belong here. So why stay? And I went home and I said my goodbyes in a letter, a quite extensive letter. Um, and I probably still have that letter to this day, somewhere. It's somewhere. I've got it. Um, and I took a ski rope, and the part of the handle of the ski rope pulled through the window and attached it to a couch, and I put it around my neck and jumped out the window. Apparently, I'm a lot stronger than what I thought because it didn't work.
Right.
um, but it was a two-story window, so getting down from the rope was not easy. It required falling. I
Thank
woke up on
goodness.
the ground actually. Yeah, I woke up on the ground actually looking at the rope. Now, you tell me how a 160-pound kid breaks a brand new ski rope. How's that happen?
Right,
I don't think so.
right.
Something was looking out for me.
Yes, something
Um,
was. We all know what that
hmm
something is.
yes, sir.
Right.
And that I just remember waking up on the ground, like, 'cause I thought I died. I know it sounds
No,
odd
it,
to say, well, you thought you died. No, I really was. I was at peace. My body, I didn't feel my body anymore. Everything was jet black. Just like I knew I was there, but there was nothing. And I thought I was dead. And I remember just like smiling and thinking, finally. And then everything started coming back into view,
hmm
and there was a rope, a broken rope above me, just swaying in the wind. And I'm just laying there like, shit. You know?
Right.
like, like, yeah, like, darn, it didn't work. But if I wouldn't have done that, I don't believe I'd be where I am today. I don't believe we'd be sitting here talking like this today
Right.
because it took that level of shock, that level of impact in my life for me to wake up and hear the voices that have been speaking this whole time.
hmm
And hey, the each and every person. I don't. I people say that that I'm special. I've been called a mystic. I've even been called a Palladian or something like that. Somebody from some other universe. I've been called these things, but I am not special. I'm just like every other person in this world. The only difference between me and everyone else is I realized the truth within and have the and conjured the courage to
Mm.
share it with people who deserve to hear
There you go. Huh.
it.
Told
Everyone
y'all.
in this world,
Didn't I tell
you've
you?
heard you've heard me say it before, and I'll say it a million more times. And this is not just to promote a coaching package or anything of that nature, because there are things in a coaching package that you can't pay for that you get.
Mm.
And that is, I say, like I said, I've said it a million times, and that is that every person is a book worth reading. It is up to us to look deep and find the chapter that bears value. But if everybody, no matter what age you are, a child even has things to teach you. If a
hmm
child didn't have things to, if a child didn't have things to teach you, we would not be born into joy and taught into misery. But every person has knowledge in some way, shape, form, or fashion that is capable of improving the lives of others. And it is a raw act of selfishness to withhold that information from the world. People deserve to hear the things that you have to say. And I know that a lot of people say, well, why would someone want to hear me?
Right.
Little old me. Why? Well, why would you sit here and listen to me? I'm just some guy that was under a bridge, homeless, and changed my mind on how the world works. And I mean, like I did, that exact same bridge that I had the defining moment where it was better to end it than to continue on was the exact same bridge that I was living under several years later when my perception changed. And I began looking up and saying, well, why live in $100,000 house when you can live under a $10 million bridge? Oh, 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 I'm balling.
Right. Making the
like,
most of
like,
what is.
yes.
Because everything
And,
happens for a reason.
mm-hmm. Yep, it does. And I believe that any and everything that comes into your life, like, I mean, I've said it so much, it's almost beginning to get cheesy, but is a truth that speaks volumes, and that is that without the darkness, the light would hold no value.
Right.
Without the pain and tribulation, like my master, I learned from Shidoshi Bright. He is the highest ranking. He was the highest rank in ninjutsu you can possibly be. A Shidoshi. There can only be one Shidoshi in the world at a time. That Shidoshi has to die before another one can come along. And I lived and learned from this man. And one of the things he taught me that has resonated throughout my entire life is that pain is a teacher whose lessons are more rarely forgotten. And I added on to that to say that, yes, that is true. But failure, true failure, is a pain or is a teacher whose lessons are never forgotten. Never. Because if I would have succeeded in failing that day when I dangled from that rope, it would have never been forgotten.
Right.
We would not be here today to bless people.
Right.
With the knowledge that we share. I haven't got to see the video of what you did at that event, but I already know it's gonna blow me away. I already know. I say, man, I get to see you on stage, and like everything in me, every cell in my body begins to light a fire, and it just like I can feel it resonating. I can feel your energy from all the way here in Arkansas when I see you up on that stage, and you're sitting there, and you can see in the crowd, the people are not just connecting, not just listening, but understanding a truth, a reality that they could not perceive prior to you being within their existence. That is a blessing among blessings. And if you be the blessing for others, you will live within blessings.
That is so true.
Ever since I met you, bud, I know that I tell everybody about you. Honestly, I tell any and everybody, like, hey, look, man, you all have a message. Anybody listening,
right?
Anybody here, you have a message that the world not only deserves to hear, but needs to hear.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And Tucker, what you just expressed about how you feel when you experience me speaking, I say the same things to people. I have it right here today. And I know that they know now, if they didn't before, exactly what I was referring to. And this is why, like, when we first started working together and you were like coming off like you just did, I had to stop you and remind you, which I do to everyone, no matter who it is that does that for you. Never forget, while that you're in that moment where they're touching you and you're just stupefied and you're sitting there and you're looking at them and you just love what you're getting from them. Just remember, you are not watching their story. You are within their story, and they are within your story. Just like Tucker is speaking about me, I'm out there speaking about him because he is in my story. And that's what I love about you, Tucker. There's so many things that from moment number one, you've just naturally understood it. You helped me put even more grout between the tiles of understanding within my world and my what I feel to be a universal calling to do what it is we do. You take this gift as seriously as anyone I know. And I know that every single time people hear you, I'm watching the screen here. And usually people are saying things and jumping in and out. And when you start opening your mouth, for the most part, everything stops. Because everybody's leaning in. And everyone is being connected because there is that golden thread of truth that moves throughout everything you say and do. And when you speak, here's the thing. Those low places, as we once thought they were. Everybody should understand this. When you keep searching, you're going to be put into close proximity of people who have don't only understand that pain and the depth of that trauma. And why do they understand it? They remember it because, Tucker, you and I, in different ways, but we've been in that same room of pain. We know exactly what the carpet of that room feels like underneath our bare feet. We can touch the walls in that room and tell you what color they are without even looking at them, because we can feel everything about that pain. And people can feel it through us, and we can feel it and share it with them. But that pain is just one side of the valley. We stand today on the other side, and we point and we reinvent everything that it tried to tell us. We reinvent it into the truth, which is really what it always was. But that sound, that voice that I know, when you described it, I know it. And so everybody out there that's listening, if you take nothing away from this today, please understand, here are two people right here that know exactly what you feel, what you felt, and what most of us may or may not feel again one day. But if we do, we need do nothing more than reach to the nearest person who understands. And so, Tucker, tell us this. How do you feel about what you get to do today? From the Piggly Wiggly horror story to now changing lives on a daily, moment by moment basis. How must that feel for you?
Words could not possibly describe that. I can give you I can give you my best attempt,
Okay.
but you know, I came to understand something, and that is that I can speak the same thing to you in English, in Spanish, Japanese, even Mandarin Chinese. But the truth does not have a language. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how I bring it to the table, the truth is the truth, and it will speak volumes. So how do I feel? I feel as though I found my calling. I found my purpose. I've been single, as in I haven't dated in nearly 6 years, in an actual relationship. And I got to wondering why that is. Well, I found out why that was in this journey that I've been experiencing since me and you came into contact. And that was, I wasn't single because I didn't, it, wa- I, nobody was attracted to me. I was single because I wasn't put on this earth to be the blessing for a single person. I was not put here to make one woman happy the rest of my life. I was put here to impact the lives of people from every sea and shore around this planet. And I believe that everyone is put here for that reason, but your choice to act upon it will determine your future. And how do I feel? Hmm. I feel as though the world, how do you explain it? Man, like I said, there's no
I
words
know.
that can bring it to when you're on stage, or not even just on stage, when you're on the side of the road and you're talking to somebody who you know is going through so much more trials and tribulations than you are. You may have experienced darkness thicker than what they've seen, but what they are witnessing in the moment trumps your current situation. When you look in their eyes and you see a spark light up, and you see a fire light in their soul, and suddenly they come to understand a truth that they could not grasp before, you're coming. It creates an energy in your soul that resonates out farther than you could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it make me feel to know that we're capable of impacting so many lives? It makes me feel human, because that's what humans are here for.
Right.
We have a tendency to confuse this reality, confuse this truth, and that is, people are put here for people. Skin is more valuable than paper, but we value paper over skin. Just for instance, like companies, let's use a business for example. You are rewarded and given bonuses for firing people and taking away their livelihood, and you are and instead of being rewarded for finding a way to help them. Now, the reason I say this is just an example for how the world has corrupted our perception of the human reality. And that is, we are here for no more purpose than to be the blessing for the person next to you. If someone, I'm not going to get religious, but I love the Bible because it speaks truths.
Yeah.
There is something in the Bible that says, like, look, I think this is my opinion. The Bible is way too long. If the human perception is what caused the Bible to require the thousands of pages that it has. The Bible's message is very simple and can be understood in one page, if not one paragraph. But our perception, our human perception of the human reality, what we made it so complex, so complicated that it required a book that most people will never finish in their entire life to understand something that they do not have the capability of grasping, because we made it too complicated.
Too complicated. It's almost like it has to talk us into what we already knew once upon a time. Yeah. But we got far, we got removed and disconnected from that original person, that original mindset. I agree 100%.
Yes, it says, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. And when people hear that, they're like, well, I don't even know my neighbor. It never said that your neighbor, there is no distance that it gives to clarify who's your neighbor. Just because you don't live next door don't mean you're not my neighbor. We live on the same rock.
Well,
you just so happen to be in a different time zone.
And also, and that's true. But then also, when you really think about it, how many people do we know that do not love themselves? So how can they love their neighbors? Because they don't love themselves. So and you're absolutely right. That's the beauty of the Bible. I think it's one of the most wonderful books ever written. But you're absolutely right.
That's what I was going.
That it never gets finished, because you could put all those truths into like one chapter if you condensed it down to, and they're so plain and simple. But it has to have all of those other things, hopefully, for somebody to go, okay, let me, like a tug of war, the rope to pull you back over, to it. So Tucker, as we round this last lap, I want you to promise me that when I release you and send you back down on the elevator, that you'll let people know where they can find you. But I want you to tell them here where they can find you, how they can friend you, how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you. I know that you are a people person, and you invite people into your space that are healthy enough to be there because you know that you can learn from them just as they can from you. But I want you to make sure you drop that information into the comments below, as well as let us know here. And what's on the horizon for you?
Oh man, I'm working. I'm really looking forward to the Power of the Power of We symposium event in September. I've been pumping that out there. I currently, like, there's something that I hinted to you about, but we'll actually talk about it later. I found a way to connect with thousands of people around the world. It was easier than Facebook, faster. And what we're going to be able to do with what we'll talk about is it's going to touch people from sea to shining sea, and
nice.
It truly will. But what's on the horizon for me is taking what we'll talk about and taking that to the next level, because it will allow us to help people around the world. And I'm gonna focus on my reach. I want to impact as many people and go as far as I can and touch as many lives as I can, because look, I've already been here for 25 years.
Ooh.
25 years, and I've done nothing. Like, I've impacted a few lives, I've made a few videos, and I've spoken in front of a few people, but I did all that in a few months.
Right.
I wasted 24 years.
Right.
Can't waste the rest of them.
That's right.
Because, there's only so many seconds in a day. We only get so much time to do what it is that we were put here to do. And I think that the secret that no one seems to want to share, but it's been shared many times, but I think the truth is people hear it but don't perceive it. And that is literally just do it.
Just do it. Right.
Just do it. In a matter of months, I talked about wanting to impact lives my whole life, but I didn't talk to other people about it because I was always one of those people you could come to as long as you came as one. You didn't bring a group. Now I can speak to a group. Back then I couldn't. I was always one of them people that you could come to. And if you had a problem with your relationship, if there was a problem in your life, if there was something about your reality that you just couldn't seem to understand, for some reason I had the answers for people. And it was simply because I looked past my own perception. I don't allow my own views of the world to to taint or change the truth.
Thank you.
Because like I said, the truth doesn't have a language. It just is. If people what people say, "Oh, well you're so wise." It's not that I'm wise. I simply remove my judgment as a human from what is the truth. And I share that truth with people. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, where is this amazing information coming from?" It came from within you. I just made you realize it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's like so. What is it? What's here? What is it for me that is gonna that I do from here? Is impact as many lives as possible.
That's right.
Hopefully, wake up as many people as I can to the reality that you control your reality. Your perception of the world carves the path that you will walk on, just like a river carves the stream that will cause everything around it for years to come to flourish. You're made up of water. Be that stream that carves that path and allow everything around you to flourish. That is what I'll do from here.
Amen.
Continue to walk.
Tucker, Tucker, Tucker. Well, of course, you have a standing invitation here because you're family. I am so grateful that the powers greater than us brought us together, chose us for each other, because from the moment we have been placed before each other, I have consistently become a better person with every encounter with you. And it's just an
Vice
honor.
versa.
It's an honor to be your coach, of course, but it's even a bigger honor to be your friend and a fellow warrior in this battle of change. And so I want everybody to know Tucker is working on a book, and the title of that book is
From the sticks to the stage, my journey with Asperger's.
There you go. And we're going to let you know when we launch that, because we're going to need your help, each and every one of you, to catapult this book and Tucker's story to #1 status. And I know that that's only going to be the beginning. And so I want you all to get to Tucker in any way you can. That's all I can tell you. Please do that. Share this video, and let's help change even more lives. Tucker, I thank you so, so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you. And if there's one thing you want to leave the audience with today, if they were to forget everything that we've talked about here today, what would be that one thing that you would hope sticks with them forever?
No matter what happens in your life, no matter how low you get or how much pain you experience, always remember that if you be the blessing for others, you will live within blessings. Always. And blessings do not have to be money. They don't even have to be time. They could simply be a compliment. They could simply be a look in the right direction, at the right place, at the right time. It could be a hug for somebody who just needed another human being in that moment. Be that blessing. Just live within blessings, and your life will change forever. If you want the things around you to change, change the way you look at the things around you.
That's right.
And if you begin to see the world as an opportunity to bless others and work for experience, there's nothing you can't do.
Absolutely right. Tucker, thank you so much. Get out there and be the blessing and get all the blessings that are yours. I love you, brother. Thank you so much. And I will see you, I think, tomorrow for your session, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You know it.
Okay. Thanks so much. You're welcome back anytime. God bless you, man.
God bless you. I love you,
I
buddy.
love you too. Bye now. Well, you guys, listen, I told you. I told you if you thought you were going to run out the door, you were probably going to be late, right? So listen, I want you, first of all, to get over to powerofwesymposium.com or go to our Eventbrite page, Power of We Symposium, and get your ticket for September 20th here in Chicago. The Power of We Symposium. Tucker is speaking to the Power of Tranquility, and he is one of the 12 that will be there. I am telling you, you'll walk into that mansion, the Stan Mansion, one way that day, but you will walk out a totally different person. I believe lives are going to be changed that day in a big way, not just those of you that are like me, just, adults and people going on about with their lives, but these 200 plus at-risk youth that we are edifying, uplifting, and bringing in as our VIPs that day. We can't just put it all on the speakers. We need the people in the audience that they will get to mingle with throughout the course of that day and meet and hear from, to let them know that we see them, we love them, we uplift them, and we want them to stick around in this world. And that's all going to be based on the choices they make today. So Tucker is going to be there today helping all of us, on the 20th rather, helping all of us make that happen for these 200 plus at-risk kids. So listen, share this with everyone you know. There's no way you cannot know that this was something really special here today. And everything Tucker said is true. Everything that he said that spoke to you, listen. I love you guys just as much, and I want you to do what we always do, and that is get out there today and love up on everyone you can. But remember, first of all, you have to begin with self. Join me here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central, where, this is going to be a great one too. Morrison, Bella, I never know if I'm saying it right because I haven't met him yet. He's a pianist, and wait till you hear what he's doing and how he's doing it and how he's changing the world not only through music, but his message with music. It's really something different. And I can't wait for you to meet him tomorrow morning. And you all, listen. I love y'all so very much. I really do. Because you make me a better version of myself. I'm so grateful. I'm so, so grateful. Get out there. Grab all those blessings that are yours. But remember, it's more important to be the blessing. I'm Loren Michaels Harris, and this has been your Monday Bathrobe Moment. And I hope it has done for you what it definitely has done for me, and that is get my week off on the right foot. I'll see you tomorrow morning. In the meantime, keep it real. Love you guys.